The consequences are torture. The consequences of that meal, but the scene itself is not. I mean, he says, but he rallied.
He rallied and he...
Stuffy Pete
right.
rallied
Yes,
like a
okay.
true knight.
Yeah, you're right.
He uses the example of warfare. This is a man who is really...
He saw his duty, and
That's
he did
right.
his duty.
He did his duty, and he sees the beneficent happiness on the old gentleman's face. And it's the first time that the old gentleman lives his life according to traditions. He has one for the winter, one for the spring, one for the summer, and one for the fall. And this is the only one that has brought a kind of smile to his face. So there's something to be said for what happens right there between them at the meal. Never mind what happens later. That's terrible.
Good. Yeah.
No, and in a certain way, Stuffy Pete previously goes because he's hungry. This time he goes not because he's hungry, but he goes because it's traditional, and he becomes a kind of valiant knight with a crown of laurels for this. And this is the occasion, in a way, when the generosity goes both ways, when it's not just a donor and a recipient, but he, in a way, is making it possible for the old man, indeed, to enjoy his act of generosity. Now, I grant, I think we all grant, that the consequences are bad, and the question of whether generosity, which produces bad consequences, is genuinely generosity. But you could turn that around, couldn't you, and say, the way you really sort of show what's in the heart is you separate it from its consequences and try to see the inner meaning of the deed as between these two people.
That's a very convincing exegesis. However, although they do not have family, they do not have home, they do not have a lot of the things that make Thanksgiving special, and they are doing their best in their circumstances, the fact that both of them, that each of them is physically in extremis when they meet, and they don't even recognize it.
But to call attention to their mutual neediness would really move us in a very different direction. In a certain way, each one of them rises, that's precisely what they do, they rise above that.
I'll grant you this. If they had communicated, and Stuffy Pete had told the old gentleman what had just happened, the old gentleman would have been devastated. Mm-hmm. That would have been terrible news to him.
I think that's right.